Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Continuing our series of getting to meet the candidates who will be on the ballot coming up in November. And this morning we're going to meet Cliff Moone. He is the candidate for the North Carolina House District 96. There is no incumbent in that position right now. So we have two folks who will be on the ballot for North Carolina House District 96. And Mr. Moone, welcome. Good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you, Hal.
And I want to, you ask, and I think that it would be right and it would be good. And you wanted to take just a moment before we started to talk about your campaign to offer condolences and a word about what happened yesterday.
Well, Hal, yesterday, of course, we had the tragic loss of Kent Crow, one of our local attorneys, and at the candidate forum just before it began. And I just wanted to take a moment on behalf of myself, and I'm certain all the other candidates there, to express our sincerest condolences to Kent's family and to all of those who have loved him and worked with him over the years. And it just was a tragic moment and very sad. But one of the great things about this community is at that moment, politics went out the window, and nobody was thinking about politics. They were thinking about Kent and what we could all do to make that situation better. But it was very, very sad. So I just wanted to say those words.
I thank you for offering that, sir, very much. I do appreciate it. Let's start off. Let's talk about you. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your history, and then your current job or position, if you would, please, sir.
Well, I am Cliff Moone. I am 65 years old. I was born and raised in Durham, North Carolina. I've been married 42 years to my wife, Gay Sawyer Moone. We have three grown children and three grandchildren. Our youngest grandchild, who lives here with my daughter and her husband in this community, so it's very important to us what goes on in our community here. I went to UNC-CH, also Chapel Hill. I went to seminary and graduated from Southeastern's Southern Baptist Seminary in 1986. I've been in the ministry for over 30 years now. Been a teacher, public school teacher, also the first headmaster at Hickory Christian Academy from 1996 to 2001. And I have off and on and presently teach at CVCC, one course as an adjunct faculty member there.
Okay. Thank you very much for telling us about that. Some things there I did not know. Mm-hmm. So very interesting. There's been a lot of, you talked about being a teacher. There's a lot of conversation in Raleigh about education and teachers' pay. Tell us your opinion of the current state of education and teacher pay here in North Carolina, if you would, sir.
Yes, Hal. Well, the North Carolina Constitution is really very, very clear. It says that we must provide, that the state must provide by taxation or otherwise a free, uniform public school system. Doesn't say anything else about private schools or anything. It says a free, uniform public school system. And so I'm not just a friend of public education. I think I'm an advocate for it. I am the North Carolina Association of Educators endorsed candidate for this position, and I am definitely in favor of doing all we can to make education our number one priority. It is the largest section of our state budget and therefore deserves to be at the very top of that. I believe that we can, over time, in the next 5 years, we should be looking at raising all North Carolina teachers' salaries above the national average. There's a lot of talk about the national average. We've been below it for a long time. We now need to get above it, and we can do that because North Carolina is better than just average. I also believe that we should restore career status and a fair due process evaluation model. Quit pitting teachers against teachers, and let merit pay bonuses be implemented without tying those bonuses to test results only. One of the biggest things is we need to restore the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Program to once again keep our best teachers in North Carolina. You've probably heard about teachers being recruited out of North Carolina last year. So also we need to restore Smart Start funding and More at 4 funding. All of those early childhood initiatives are crucial to the educational advancement of our state and our children, of course, and for our families. 12 years after Smart Start, we had a graduation rate of almost 80% in North Carolina. And I don't think that's a coincidence, quite frankly. The biggest thing right now, though, is because teachers did get some raise, though a lot of teachers didn't get a raise, and that's a lot of people don't know that. But we need to end. There is at least a $475 pupil per pupil expenditure gap in North Carolina, meaning that from 2008, our students today, 6 years later, have less, $475 less than they had in 2008. And neither teachers nor parents should have to buy staples or staplers and copy or paper or pencils. And what this has caused is we have cut the textbook allotment from $111 million a few years ago down to $23 million now. The kids out there aren't getting good new textbooks, and we need to make sure that happens.
Let me ask you this. What specific legislation would you like to see in the next General Assembly session that would benefit our area if elected? What specific legislation would you like to see in the next General Assembly session that would benefit us right here?
Well, I definitely think because I know that students were taken off of the ability to get into the Smart Start and More at 4 programs because of that. And again, I think these early childhood initiative programs are crucial in getting children on the right steps. So that restoring of the funding that was cut in the past few legislatures for that would be very important. I'd like to introduce legislation like that. The other thing is that, and I haven't spoken about it, is we cut last year over $1 million from the Catawba Valley Community College budget. We can't keep doing that and build the education system in community colleges for the jobs that we need to train people for right now. And so I would definitely want to see us make it possible. And one of the ways to do that, I've talked to Garrett Henshaw about that, and one of the ways to do that is put the community college system on the same funding basis as the university system. So that would be a way to go, I think.
More First Talk with the candidate for the North Carolina House District 96, Cliff Moone. More First Talk after the break. You're listening. Good morning. Welcome back to First Talk with Hal Row on 1290 WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Our guest this morning, Cliff Moone. He is a district for the North Carolina House of Representatives, District 96. We'll continue with our questions, getting to know him and finding out a little bit about his opinion on what's happening with North Carolina. And, of course, this next question with our local area. The city of Hickory will be voting on a bond referendum. Do you support or oppose the referendum, and why?
Hal, I will be voting for the referendum. I want to be very clear about that. I know that there are a lot of different positions and points of view on this. It's a nonpartisan issue for me. It's about our city. It's about the future of our city. And as I told you earlier, I have a grandchild here, and I'm looking to that future for her and for our families and young families. We've lost 25% of our young people over the last 10 years, and we need to do something. We have hunkered down for a long time, and we've been very careful in this city with our leaders have been with budgetary matters, and we are in very good shape. They showed the audit report from last year last night at City Council. I normally attend City Council meetings. I've taken from the very beginning an interest in City Council, not just because of this campaign, but for the last number of years since I retired and was able to attend. I believe the present legislature is being a bit too intrusive in local affairs, quite frankly, and while the state legislature has authority over municipalities and cities, most of our Republican friends have run for years advocating less government interference. But these legislators have over and over again in the last session meddled in local affairs, and from control of airports to control of water transfers to business privilege taxes and more. And I think whenever possible we need to let local elected leaders decide what's best at the local level. I am also for the bond referendum because it's the thing that's on the table, and nobody else has brought something to the table. And if somebody else would bring something to the table, maybe we could have done. But we worked on this for the last few years. I was a part of the committees that talked about what do we want to do. I think the proposed business park, I think even though there's plenty of places around to put businesses, not the kind of advanced manufacturing businesses that the new park will focus on and have. Also, I believe that cities like Greenville and others, Chattanooga and others that have done amazing things with their water, the Riverwalk tied into a Burkdale-type development down by the Crawdads area will make a beautiful and wonderful economic development area for us, and then tie back in, I hope, to the old Lenore Road development. I'd love to see that developed. I know the Rosses have been working at that very hard, the people with the Hickory tree, and they just had a baby, by the way, and I think we need to really have that connection between downtown, out, and that, and this can transform our city. So I hope that we can pass it, and I don't want to equivocate on it at all. I am definitely in favor of it.
Very good. The state of now, let's go back to the legislature and then the state of North Carolina, because it is the House of Representatives, of course. You're a candidate for the House of Representatives. The state of North Carolina opted not to expand Medicaid. How do you feel about this decision? I know that hindsight's 20/20, but talk about the decision for North Carolina not expanding Medicaid.
Well, the most important issue in this legislative session is going to be looking at what the revenue is and what we have coming in as the basis of the changes, and therefore revitalizing the economy and creating living wage jobs. The failure to accept federal Medicare expansion is costing us jobs right now. My wife assures me, and she's in the medical field, that people are losing jobs because of the lack of Medicaid expansion in hospitals and others. We've even laid off people locally recently in that regard. It is estimated that expanding Medicaid would provide 25,000 new jobs across North Carolina, that it would also provide affordable health care to nearly 500,000 of our lowest income citizens, and keep rural hospitals from closing. As you know, the hospital in Belhaven, North Carolina, closed, and their mayor marched to Washington about that and was on the national news. But at least one person died that could not get to that hospital in time before it closed, because there was no hospital close by. This is sad and unnecessary. There is no additional cost to the state for 3 years at all by expanding Medicaid. Our lowest income citizens deserve to be able to have medical care other than emergency room care, just like the rest of us deserve to, in my opinion.
What's the first thing you want to accomplish if elected?
Well, the first thing I plan to accomplish is not exactly an accomplishment in the legislature itself, but I believe that one-party monopoly governance is bad for the people of Catawba County. It's one of the reasons I'm running. And when one political party dominates to the point it's the only one represented, I think there sometimes results political arrogance and also a limited consideration of ideas that are needed to solve difficult problems. We need to solve problems in North Carolina, not play politics. And it's going to take both people from both parties to do that. So the number one thing I will do is make a promise to the people of this community and this district. Every month that I'm in the legislature, I will hold a town hall meeting, not just once a year, every month that I'm there. I will hold a town hall meeting to listen to, not talk at. Everybody knows I'm pretty good at talking at people, but as a preacher, but I will be there to listen to the people and hear what their needs are, because that's our job, to represent the people of this district.
Always at the end of our conversations with candidates, we like to give the last word to the candidate so that they're able to say a word or two to the listening audience. We always like to do that, so we're going to do that right now. You have the last word. This is a candidate, Cliff Moone, candidate for North Carolina House, District 96. Mr. Moone.
I am Cliff Moone, and I am a candidate for the North Carolina House, District 96. You can find a more complete explanation of who I am and what I've done and what I stand for on my website, cliffmoone.com, or my Facebook page. I believe the actions of the present North Carolina legislature have resulted in more and more North Carolinians being left out and left behind. There have been huge cuts to education. There have been a lot more corporate welfare through tax giveaways to big out-of-state corporations. There have been a lot of tax breaks for millionaires, but overall increased taxes and fees for everyone else. The repeal of the earned income tax credit for lower-income working families, and as I just mentioned, the no expansion of the Medicaid, federal Medicaid has caused the closing of at least one hospital and limited health care for nearly 500,000 North Carolinians. The list goes on and on. All of these actions are hurting North Carolinians and our state's future. In the military, a fairly conservative institution, there is a common creed: we will leave no soldier behind. Our common creed in North Carolina legislature should be: we will leave no citizen behind. I've served as a pastor for over 30 years in the Christian ministry, and one of the verses that I keep in my mind comes from Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not men. If elected, that's what I promise to do.
Thank you very much. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Row, broadcast live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. on 1290 WHKY AM, talk radio for the Greater Hickory Metro, and also streaming live at WHKY.com. The program